How we doing, everyone? Welcome to another edition of FSI's NASCAR DFS Pick Show. I am your host, TK Nation 47, joined by Mega Roller 31. Mega, how did the Xfinity race go today, and are you excited for more Atlanta Motor Speedway?
I got the fire behind me because it was hot Atlanta today. Even though there were some Kyle Weatherman made a really bad decision. I know that tilted you. I still cashed pretty well. I would have been way in the money had he finished like anywhere in the top 20, even in the top 25. But still, it was a very, very solid day. We were right on with what we were talking about.
I tell you what, I got up to go to the bathroom, grab a high noon, and I get back and I'm like, 47's in first? Like, what am I watching here? And he gets to the high groove and his car just literally shuts down completely. And then of course, he's going to run into someone because he's going about 25 and in a 60, on those restarts. So yeah, just awful. If he finishes 15th, I win close to a couple $100 and all is well on Saturday. But instead I only won a couple, I think it was like $20. But hey, I'll take it. That's what you play when you play GPPs. So a lot of good takeaways. We made a lot of good picks, and yeah, the Xfinity series was a plus for us. So we're gonna keep ourselves in the wheelhouse here, keep going with what we do best, and break down this Quaker State 400 presented by Walmart at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 260 laps, 400 miles. Yeah, this is going to be, you need a dominator and maybe one or two of them in the same lineup to be able to take down a GP. Give me your strategy thoughts before we get into some picks.
Again, I think I'm going to pretty much balance it. There's some guys in the back I'm going to look at for place differentials that are value plays, and I'm going to try to figure out. There's one guy I'm definitely locking in as a dominator. And then, if I have a cash build that I feel really good about, then I'll go on that. If there's a couple guys that I think, is going to be the second dominator, then I'll split my cash like 50-50. And then in some GPPs, if I've got a base core of like these guys that I really like, then I'll just rotate other guys through in the 20 max and just see if I can hit something. So it wasn't a build like in Xfinity. There was a build that just kind of jumped right out. This week, it doesn't seem like there's one that just like, pops right off the page at me at this point, but maybe it'll start to come together. But there's lots of good plays and lots of good ways to go.
Absolutely. Real quick, before we get into all this, and I think that's very viable strategy. If we get 25 likes on the video for tomorrow, we are going to go ahead and share the sheet for the next upcoming race for I assume Xfinity and Cup.
Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. If we get 25 likes for this video, we will share the model projections that that Mega produces so graciously for us here at FSI, and we will have that up for the Xfinity and Cup videos for next week.
Unless for some reason they have practice and qualifying, but I don't believe they do. I believe that.
Yeah, that's a regular generated lineup after the Atlanta results. I believe because it's New Hampshire, so there's no. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, there will be a if we get 25 likes, we'll have the model projections up on the screen, and you'll be able to see that, get that first look into what we do here behind the paywall. All right, so let's get into some picks. Let's start off with our grid here. We have Chase Elliott on the pole. What are your thoughts on the awesome kid from, what is it? Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. I don't know what Chase's nickname is here, but he's a home track for the kid. You like him?
Yeah, he's racing tonight against his dad in that new series. So, he's I know he's really hyped up about that. So hopefully he doesn't take his focus off from here. He was good at Atlanta last time. He had 19th average running position, but that's because Kurt Busch messed up a restart, and he ran into him. They made contact, and it damaged his I think it was like his nose or his front end or fender or something.
Oh yeah,
and then his car overheated, and then he had a terrible finish. So. The Hendricks cars have been good. 98 is a good price. Like, you have so many guys over 10K. And I think maybe DK looked at like his last Atlanta and they kind of gave us a price break. And it seems like they did the same thing with Kurt Busch, giving us a price break where he should have probably been 1,600. But you realize anybody that starts on the pole kind of has a disadvantage, because if they don't finish first, they start losing points with the DK scoring system. So it's always risky to take the pole guy. And with at least two other guys around him, maybe three, well, actually within the top six, there's probably about four guys that could get out and grab the lead from him. But it seems like here you have to do it right away. Like you can't, in the Xfinity series, you really didn't see like anybody like creep up and catch somebody. It seems like the guy, if he could get out clean, it was very hard to catch.
Yeah, so my thoughts on Chase Elliott have all to do with the start of this race. And my belief is at the start of this race, Kyle Busch and the experience that he had in the Xfinity series knows the high groove, when Chase, I assume, will take the low bottom groove. I think Kyle Busch knows, that high groove is just a slippery slope on the restarts. And I think he is a little bit more experienced after today's race. He's going to be able to find a way to get to Chase Elliott early on in this race. I don't see many laps led coming from Elliott. Even though this is a home track and Chase Elliott is one of the best drivers in the sport, this is a road course, and Chase Elliott has not dominated a race this year. And you're on the pole, I have no interest.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you want to play Chase Elliott, then you play Chase Elliott because you think he's going to win. If you don't play Chase Elliott, it's because...
Or you think he's going to get out there and dominate at least until like they have a competition caution or end of stage one.
Yeah, you're hoping he dominates the whole first stage, but I don't see that happening. Chase hasn't done that this year in any of the track other than a road course. So for that reason, I'm out, and I'm in on Kyle Busch due to all the reasons that we had talked about earlier today in the Xfinity race. And in this Cup race, he's got experience on this track. He's been in good form. He, dominated the race today. I have more faith in the way that Kyle Busch has been driving his car than I do Chase, even though Chase won last week. But that's a different story. This is a different track, and I'm going in on Kyle Busch. Your thoughts?
I don't know. I like him. I think I haven't listed his cash right now, which he's my GPP lock.
Yeah.
And I can see it, but how many times has he raced a truck or Xfinity at the same track and it just doesn't translate over to Cup? Mm-hmm. Or, he ends up with like a penalty or something, or something goes wrong. So on paper, it looks good, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to be in my cash lineup, but I think, I think I'll definitely have him as my first guy into my GPP, but I can see playing him in cash. I think I do like him a little bit more than Elliott here.
Yeah,
I'm just worried about just as we keep on going. I'll explain.
Yeah. I mean, there's guys down the list here that we're going to try to squeeze in that are just as high in salary. I think I do like the builds with him, even as a second dominator, first, second dominator. Just I'm going to try to fit two dominators in my lineups for tomorrow. So I like him even in playing second fiddle. So if I think he can finish inside the top 5, dominate some laps, then I'm going to play him at a certain amount of percentage in my 150 max. So next up we have Denny Hamlin at 9,600. There's not much to back my theories here, but Denny Hamlin's been quietly struggling. Your thoughts?
He was okay the first Atlanta race. Nobody could catch Kyle Larson, and that's been like the name of the season. Nobody can catch Kyle Larson. So he's just been disappointing. Like last year, he and Harvick rolled off the hauler, and they were just magicians at nailing the setup. And this time, it just doesn't seem like it's happening. So and it seems like these JGR guys, literally have 4 of them starting in a row here. So that's another bad thing for Chase Elliott is you have 4 Gibbs cars in a row right behind him. Not behind him, but like side to side and everything. But it's just, you would think that they'd be like sharing notes with one another and they'd be able to figure it out or set up 4 different ways, and then obviously somebody's going to nail it, and then everybody on the first pit stop, it knows exactly what the one car did, and then they can all get to where that car set up. So no.
Yeah, I'm quietly out on Denny Hamlin. If I do play him in my 150 max, it might be at a very low 5% or 3%, just in case Denny Hamlin shows up. But really, it's about his
and it
crew
would
chief.
wouldn't surprise us. We wouldn't be like Kyle Weather when winning the races. This is
on
like
old tires.
legitimate, like, really good NASCAR drivers. So
exactly. I've seen it over the last couple of weeks. Denny Hamlin and the team, not the fastest out there, and missing setups. Atlanta's a really tough track to nail the setup. So I can't believe it, but I'm out on Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin, and that's going to be a scary feeling come tomorrow. Christopher Bell, 8,200, starting fourth. Man, is this another driver to fade?
He's definitely a fade. Like, he's doing great. He's having a great season. That's why he's starting fourth. But he only had almost a 21 average running position. I have him finishing 18th here. I only have him with like 12 DK points. I think he falls down into like maybe finishes like top 15, but I don't see him leading. I just don't think it's like the right track for him. Again, doing good, having a good season, but starting way too far up here. If he was starting 15th, I would definitely be interested at that price. But
this is unexpected to be fading three of the first four cars talked about. But I'm going to be out on Christopher Bell as well. Next up, we have Martin Truex Jr. at 9K. Sign me up.
Yes,
9K Martin Truex. That's all I need to hear.
And here's the problem. Well, not the problem. He struggled at the first Atlanta race. The setup was horrible. But Martin Truex Jr. does better when it's a slippery track and hot conditions, and that's what's going to be hot. The last race was earlier in the season. It was cooler, and it was like a high grip situation. So this is what he likes, and I think that's really going to help him. So it's going to be Elliott, Hamlin, and Truex in that bottom groove, and I think he can get up there and potentially lead this and maybe be one of those dominators. And love the price too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the price tag leaves you with enough flexibility to, feel good about making a balanced lineup with maybe a one high stud dominator. And, you're not breaking an arm. I mean, if we want to just lump them in here, there's a $3,000 difference between him and Kyle Larson. And, and I certainly would not be shocked if Truex was the one that dominated this race and it wasn't Kyle Larson. Like who on the broadcast or who in the NASCAR industry would think that's surprising? No one. And there's $3,000 in difference. I think Truex could have a lot higher ownership tomorrow, and that's fine. Because starting in that fifth spot, if he only finishes inside the top 10, he's not going to lose that many place differential points as well.
Yeah, and if you look at the similar tracks like Homestead, his average running was 5.2. He dominated Darlington. His average running position was 1.5. Absolutely dominated that race. Kansas, similar, 9.1. Charlotte was 14.5. That's the only outlier, but he just has been really, really good here. 9 point, even with struggling with the track conditions in the setup last time, he averaged a top 10 running position.
I mean, look at that Darlington race though. So average run position of 1.5. Like, this guy's 9K. That doesn't make sense to the guy that can do this to a racetrack. So ton of Truex for tomorrow. Next up, we have Kyle Larson. Obviously the dominator of this race last year, this whole season. Yeah, there's the turnkey. That is the lock symbol. Yeah, it's obvious, right? Cash, GPP, 60% of your 150 max. Just lock it in.
Absolutely dominated this race last time. We talked about the 1.5 being impressive. He had a 1.3, and not only here, Charlotte also, which is another high tire wear track. Not as high as Atlanta, but it's still, is a tire wear track. And like everywhere, he's just, this is his season. He is just amenable boys.
Yep.
At some points.
I don't think there's really much more you need to say. Just play Kyle Larson, play the best driver the year. Next up, we have Tyler Reddick, 7,100. Seventh is pretty high. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I struggle with this because I like the
Yeah.
price, and he's good at tire wear. He's good at finding the high groove, but the high groove really isn't the good one here. You want to be lower on down.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. He's an enigma. It's like the price you're kind of be baited, but he's starting so high. I honestly, my projection has him finishing 22nd, and I believe he had a issue last time. Here because his average running position was horrible. It's 29.6. So I can't remember what happened, but that's just but if you take that out,
Yeah.
his average running position for the rest of the races, Homestead was okay, 17.6. We thought he'd do better there, but Darlington was 7. Kansas was 9.7. Charlotte was 8.5. Like he's got a 4 out of the 5 races besides Atlanta. He's got a top 10 average running position. And if you take out the first Atlanta race, my projection has him finishing 7th. If I put that back in, I have him finishing 22nd. So
I see. I see your dilemma. If I had to add anything, he's been driving really well of late. He's finishing well, and he's running inside the top 10 fairly often. And maybe that form is enough to carry you over into the I'm going to play him side. I'm undecided as well. I'm going to leave a little. I just marked in my notes, question mark, because I'm just haven't made a decision yet. Maybe I'm going to do a little bit more digging. But yeah, I'm on the fence as well. Now, next up, we have Kurt Busch at 8,400. I know you play Kurt Busch. I don't. You playing him tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm on the fence with him too, but like Reddick is somebody like at 71 there. If I land on him, Kurt, like he was top 5 early on in the first Atlanta race, and then he got wrecked during a restart. I don't know. These Chip Ganassi cars just haven't had the speed recently, so I think the anchor falls out of the back of the car and he just ends up finishing down. Actually, the model has him finishing 27th. Like he had a really just Darlington 29 average running position, Charlotte 31, like mixed in with like the 7 and 13. Like he's all over the board here, so not stable enough. Starting way too high. So yes, I'm out.
I was going to say, if I could make any kind of case for you, Chip Ganassi just got sold to Trackhouse. That is the owner, Justin Marks from the Daniel Suarez group. They're probably throwing everything at these cars as a last hurrah. So if there's any reason to play Chip Ganassi cars, it's because you believe that they have everything going into every setup, going into every race, or it's pack it up, let's go home, boys. So it's risky. It's both sides. So you can see it both ways. I mean,
this is one of the teams that we were talking about earlier in the season that looked like it was looking for at 2022 because the car's changing and it looked like they really weren't investing much. Let's just go out there and have our season, and then let's save our money for next year. Let's test the next car. Let's put our investment in the next car. And it looks like at this point that they're switching their investments into like Trackhouse with Suarez more than they're putting, from some of the different like blogs and things I've read. It seems like they're investing more in Suarez right now at this point than they are with Busch and Chastain. So like, who knows what's going to happen? Chastain is a great young driver, and I hope they retain him. Kurt Busch, maybe he's retiring, or maybe starts his own team with his brother. Like, there's so many different, possibilities there. So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, this talk kind of transitioned into the next pick, which was Ross Chastain. I do like Ross, 7,200. I am worried about that starting position. What do you want to speak on your thoughts about Ross Chastain as well?
I have both he and Kurt finishing in the 20s. I think they're just starting way too high. And I think the biggest black eye in the projection for Ross is that he was like 34th in Charlotte. Let me just take that out for a second and see. It will improve it a little bit, but not. that moved him up to 18th, but still, I mean, he's starting 9th, so I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Out on Chastain, out on Chip Ganassi tomorrow, they're starting too high. That's just is what it is. I think people are going to keep rolling out Chastain. They've been hitting that value like crazy. He's been coming up big. He's another guy that likes that high groove too. So I think Tyler Reddick, Kurt Busch, and Ross Chastain are risky value options. If you're going to play them sparse, sprinkle them into 150 max. I would not put any kind of high dollar exposure on them. We have Joey Logano rounding out the top 10 at 8,800. I mean, the price tag jumps out at you. I mean,
You.
Yeah, go ahead and talk into why that is a trap.
It's a trap because this is the wrong package for him. It seems like it's funny, like with the Penske cars, Logano has seemingly done better when it's the low downforce, right, and the 750, the higher horsepower package, and this one
750.
Yeah, this one is the lower, or this one's high downforce with the lower horsepower at this track.
Yeah.
And that Keselowski has been better in. And then Blaney has kind of been a hybrid of the two. So it's just funny how like Penske, like I don't know if it's purposeful or if it's just like their driving styles. So I don't think he's going to be good here in this high downforce package. So, last race out, his average running position was 13, which wasn't bad. I have a finishing 11th. So, I mean, I think he ends up around where he is. He's a good driver, and Penske's a good team, solid equipment. I don't see them breaking down. I mean, a couple like early in the season and last year, you just need to keep the Penske cars away from each other because they continuously take each other out. But I think he's interesting at the price tag, but I don't think I'm playing him in cash.
My only gravitational pull to him is that price tag because my expectations of him are lower. I'm not expecting, a 9K dominator performance. I think at 8,800, if you land on him with, your dominators and your favorite values and you go, oh, last in Joey Logano, what can he do to hurt me? I don't think there's that much he can do to hurt you. Can he not show up because he just doesn't like the package? I think that's an absolutely good call. But I just see some of these numbers across the board, and it doesn't look like a significant drop off from where he's starting. So yeah, if he finishes like 13th or 14th, I mean, it's not optimal, but it's still a car finishing inside the top 15, and there's still a little bit of a upside to him with the way he can drive if the setup is right. So I think I'm in for like 50 max. I don't think he's in my high dollar exposure for tomorrow. Next up, we have Chase Briscoe at 6,400. I think this is going to be a big no for me. What about you?
I agree. And Chase Briscoe, we got to give him credit here because early in the season, we were like, he should have stayed in Xfinity. He wasn't ready for this. They just Boyer unexpectedly retired. They need somebody to fill the car. I think that he has done really well, but I don't think this is the track for him. I don't think that, just looking at the numbers on these 1.5 mile high tire wear ones, his average running position is like about 25th. So yeah, I see him probably falling down into like, if he gets a top 20, I think he's lucky here.
Sure.
So and the Stewart Haas cars just haven't been fast. So no, I'm fade.
Yeah, out on Briscoe, I'm with you. I am impressed as well with how he's bounced back from the early season struggles. He looks like he's getting comfortable. And I think at a better track, there's going to be better finishes. Like maybe next week after a bad performance this week, you go right back to the welcome up where everybody maybe missed on him this week, and you can play him at maybe a better opportunity at New Hampshire. So out on Briscoe this week. Next up, we have Matt Benedetto and the Wood Brothers machine. Man, so he's on a 1-year contract, and he's on that bubble for the playoff. I'm trying to find ways and reasons to play Matt DiBenedetto. I just struggle with the starting position, but 7,500 isn't terrible. I don't know. Your thoughts?
He did well here. He had a top 10 running position at Atlanta last race. Just his composite scores are just all the other 1.5 mile tracks was like 16.78. So like my projection has him finishing 9th. I think that might be a little aggressive. I think he can get a top 15. So I have him as a cash play right now, just at the 7,500. I like him better than Reddick. I like him better than Chastain. Even like Kurt Busch at like almost $100 more there, or $1,000 more. So yeah, he's right on the border there. So if I need somebody in like the $7,000 range, I think he's one that. And you know what? I would, if I have the $100, I'm going to take him over Ryan Preece, who's 100 less than him.
Right. We'll get to
Night
Ryan.
And day.
Yeah, we'll get to Ryan Preece later on. I don't mind Matt DiBenedetto in a 150 max style format for the reasons you mentioned. Next up, we have Austin Dillon. He had filled in for Michael Annett today after Annett was announced 20 minutes before the race to not be racing for Junior Motorsports. So Austin Dillon was available and he filled in. So he has a good look at the track and the way that it's driving right now. 7,900 is not too expensive. I've seen Austin Dillon come alive a little bit these last couple of weeks. I don't mind him here. Your thoughts?
It's all back with that Chevrolet partnership working with Hendricks. These Richard Childress racing cars have just gotten so much faster working with Hendricks on the engines. So I definitely like him here. He had an average running position in the top 10 at 9.2. I have him finishing 6th. He did really well at Charlotte. Homestead, he was right outside the top 10. Darlington was the only one where he was like below a average running position of 12th. So I've been finishing 6th in my projection, and actually I have him like picking up like almost 50 DK points with 6x value. I think it's a really good play.
I have found my high dollar play tomorrow. Thank you, Mega. I'm going on Austin Dillon as well. Next up, we have Brad Keselowski, 9,200. I mean, he's got some good performances and he's had some bad performances. And Team Penske's been quiet, very quiet. Like, are they just going through the motions because they have 3 drivers in the playoffs? Is that what we're looking at here?
I think so. And I think, again, they're looking towards the future. I think, the writing's on the wall. Brad's leaving. Cindric's probably going to be in this car next year. Or not. Yeah. Wouldn't you, Cindric?
I would say they would put Cindric in the 2 and leave Blaney in the 12. I could see a world where they bring Blaney into the 2 and Cindric into the 12, but Blaney is not that flashy, I want to be popular guy. He's just a down to earth Ohio kid, so I could see the movement for Cindric, especially if Cindric wins the Xfinity Series championship. If Cindric wins the Xfinity Series championship, he's definitely getting the number 2 car. And who knows, maybe Kurt Busch and Brad Keselowski latch on as their own team or something. I don't know. Crazy ideas are flowing when I have no idea.
On paper, this is his package. He should do good here. So I have him as a GPP. I think he's only going to have medium ownership just with his current form. Like they look at the last Atlanta track, his average running position was 20.3. He really struggled here, but Homestead, he did good. Kansas, he did really well. He was ahead of top 5 running position there. Darlington struggled a little bit. So it's all over the board. Again, like I'd rather play 9,000 for Truex or 88 for Logano. But I think I'll have some shares of him just because this might be his week.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the William Byron thing that I've been doing, as I just play William Byron no matter what. Doesn't matter if he's starting 2nd or 19th. I just play William Byron because I don't know which one's going to show up, so I just pay to play. And I think I might do that with Brad tomorrow. And next up, we have Ryan Blaney at 10.5, winner of this race after Larson had dominated most of it. He snuck in there to win it at the end. 10-5's a lot. I know he's good here, but that 10-5's a lot. And I know he's not going to dominate. He does not dominate races. He's the guy that just comes in at the end and steals a victory.
He's really good at tire management. I think that is.
Oh, for sure. It just doesn't translate early on in the race.
Right. And there's a lot of things, like he's really good with these conditions too. He's another one like Truex that's good with like hot and, loose. So I think he's very interested. My model actually has him as the second highest scoring guy behind Larson. It's got Larson at 82 DK points. It has Blaney at 72 and finishing second in this race. So, and it's not just his track record at Atlanta is outstanding. His only blip on the radar here is Homestead and Darlington with 18th and 17th average running position, but everything else was in the top 8 actually. So I think it's a really good play.
I'm certainly playing him. I'm just questionable about his salary, and I just need him to lead laps. I need him to be up front most of the day. I need him fastest laps. I need the laps led. Like if Larson does dominate the whole race and Blaney finishes inside the top 5, he'll pay off 10-5, even without dominating any part of the race. It's just risky if he does not get inside that top 5 and he finishes 2 or 3 spots ahead of where he started. Then I don't think the 10-5 was worth it. Especially when you have plays like Truex at 9K. I like kind of Kyle Busch more for that, and then a player to be named later. So I don't know. I like Blaney. I'm gonna play some Blaney. I'm not gonna play him in any high dollar format or cash. Next up, we have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 66. I do like this play. I like Ricky Stenhouse when nobody else does. That's kind of the format you play Stenhouse, and I don't think anyone's thinking about playing him tomorrow. Is that wrong?
Well, just going back to Blaney, I think we found our head-to-head because I would definitely prefer him over Busch if I have the $200. So okay. I think we're in on that one. But no, Stenhouse, yes. Again, he has actually surprised us too and rounded into a decent race car driver. He's not as reckless as he has been. Now watch tomorrow. He'll go he'll go Kraus on us and take out like a half dozen people.
I hope we don't ruin
all our DSF dreams. Yeah. But no, 6,600, and I think it's just because he's starting this high up at 16th. My model has him finished 13th. He was 13th average running position there. The composite scores of all the tracks, because there's a 23 at Darlington, is 17, which is a little bit lower, but I think he's one that we always say will finish around where he starts. And for 6,600, if you're trying to jam in like 3 studs, or even like Larson, a 10K guy and a 9K guy, he helps you not have to scrape the bottom of the barrel and take the bottom feeders down there that we'll get to at the end of this.
Right. I for the guys that we've already talked about, I like him more than Briscoe. I like him more than Reddick. I like him more than Chastain. I think he has better upside, finishing 2 or 3 or 4 spots ahead of where he started for a cheaper price, and that's what I'm going to play for. And I think Ricky Stenhouse has this weird, awkward ability to finish inside the top 5 when he's not supposed to. And that's what kind of upside I love. And you never know what's going to happen. I mean, if we played the 47 car today, it didn't work out. It has to work out tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Law of averages. All right. Next up, we have Alex Bowman at 9,400. I am in on Bowman big time. Your thoughts?
I have him marked as a cash play. And if you look at the statistics, his average running position was 4.9, and my model has him finishing 7th. However, I think he's more borderline GPP because he is a driver that is better with cooler temperatures and more stick. And it could be hot and loose tomorrow. And I think you might struggle with that. So we'll
Okay.
see. But
Yeah.
that the track conditions concern me with Bowman.
I just like that he's starting 17th. His price tag at 9,400. It's kind of been around where he's been all year, and I've seen him pay off his salary quite often. I do like him at intermediate tracks. I think he's really good on tires. He's really conservative. Hendricks had that speed we've been wanting to see. I'm kind of licking my chops at 9,400. I even think he has the potential to, be different on strategy and lead laps. I think he has that that ability more so than maybe anyone else in this price range, maybe other than Byron. Price range, I mean, starting position, maybe that other than Byron, maybe if he's not going to make the top 10 before a stage end, he pits. I mean, I know that's risky to do with tires, but you never know what these crew chiefs have up their sleeves. Little better cars in this series than there were in Xfinity, more tires to go to when you need them. So there's going to be different strategies, and I like him and his crew chief. Next up, we have Chris Buescher at
And his pit crew.
8,600. Yeah. Oh yeah. And Hendricks
They're one
crew's
of
been lights out.
top ones. And I said he's always he's like vanilla ice cream. Like he never surprises me if he's like up in the top 10 or the top 5. Like you look at the box score and you're like reading like, oh wow, this guy did good. This guy did good. Like, oh hey, there's Bowman.
Yeah. It's a love-hate relationship with Bowman. I mean, I've been on the bad end of Bowman and I've been on the great end. So I feel it tomorrow, and I'm gonna go ahead and go with my gut. Next up, we have Chris Buescher at 8,600. I think this price tag is too high, but you're paying for some consistency here, and I love the safety net that you have with Chris Buescher.
Well, the other factor too is he had a top 10 average running position here. He actually led laps at Homestead, which is a very similar track, and actually had an average running position 9th. Darlington 11th, Charlotte 14th. Like his composite is 13th. I actually have him finishing 10th in my projection here. He's just been really good in this package and on these tracks. So again, we'll have to see. Again, it's a Roush Fenway car who actually they've had some speeds. So
Oh yeah. Buescher's been good.
And consistent for he's like a mid-major in college football if you think about it, or like in college basketball. Isn't he like a Gonzaga, or like a team that's like not like one of your blue bloods or one of your like elite conferences, but he is just there and does a solid job, and sometimes punches above his weight class. And
yeah, he's the Boise State of the NASCAR circuit. I like his consistency. You're getting a better starting position because typically he's starting inside the top 12 because of how well he finishes week in and week out. So give me some Chris Buescher tomorrow. Absolutely. William Byron starting 19th, 10K. Yes. Every week. I play this guy every week. Tomorrow's going to be no different.
Yeah. I'm just looking at his numbers. I got him finishing 4th. Like, wow. Like 7.4 at Atlanta last time, 3.9 at Homestead. I think he won that race, right?
Homestead.
Yeah. And then Darlington 6.4, Kansas 10.10, Charlotte 3.2. Just his composite average is the 4th highest out of all of them. The only ones above him are Larson, Blaney, and surprisingly Denny Hamlin. So yeah, starting this far down, I think like 10K, that's definitely a reasonable price.
In on cash for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Probably going to be a popular cash option as well, but I don't mind it at all. Next up, we have Eric Almirola, 8K. Now, Almirola has been doing better of late, but I don't pay K for Eric Almirola.
No. Again, we said like Stuart Haas is just they don't have the speed. It's the same thing we said about like Chase Briscoe. Like he's doing better, but there's times where the cars just don't seem as fast.
When Eric Almirola gets down into that low 7s, sign me up. I'll be ready. I'll be ready to pay.
When Eric Almirola starts in the 30s, sign me up.
Yeah, 30s, 7K, sure. I'm I'm not chasing the ghost here of Eric Almirola at 8K. Next up, we have Kevin Harvick at 10.9. They have a saying here, and it's called the Harvick line, and that's ride in the bottom paint. Sadly, we're going to see that go when they go to the repave. Probably going to be able to do multiple grooves here at Atlanta, and you're probably going to be able to use that, high groove more often. But he invented the way that this race is raced, and they missed the setup last time out. I remember being so pissed off at Rodney Childress for absolutely destroying a good Kevin Harvick opportunity. I was all in on him earlier in the year on him here at this race, and he completely flopped.
It was a tire issue. He had a bad valve stem or something, and he had a pit under green. That's what put him in.
Oh yeah, and he went under. He was a lap back, and he couldn't get it back forever. And I was just furious.
Yeah, I remember like us chatting about it, like, hey, maybe we'll get the lucky dog this one, and then the leader would pass another guy, and we were like,
yeah, exactly.
Stop passing people so he can get back on the lead lap.
I mean, I'm just frantically yelling, caution, caution. And, I'm just, I don't know. I lost money that day. Let's just say that. But Kevin Harvick at Atlanta starting 21st. I know it's 10-9, but we can't be fools here, right? You got to play Kevin Harvick.
Again, if we throw out Atlanta and look at all the other ones, amazing numbers: 8.6 Homestead, 8.2 Darlington, 7.4 Kansas, 7 flat Charlotte, 7.8 overall average. But again, he is the anti-Truex. He is better with cooler temperatures and higher grip. So I think he's a top 10. I don't think he's going to dominate. I don't think he's going to lead laps. I would rather play Byron and save the 900.
Yeah.
Between he and Blaney, I'm not sure. So, yeah. But I think the pricing is definitely on like his reputation here versus his current form.
Yeah. And if we had to rank it between Busch, Blaney, Byron, and Harvick, if we had to rank them, who would you go with of those four, those 10K four?
I would go Byron first, then probably Blaney, Busch, not because of are we throwing out like their starting position, or are we just
highest fantasy points?
Okay. I would say that it's definitely going to be Byron, Blaney, Busch, and then Harvick.
I might have Blaney and Busch swapped, and that's why there is the head-to-head coming tomorrow. So it would be Byron, Busch, Blaney, and then Harvick for me. So there, we both have Harvick fourth of that list. And
what would they be in alphabetical order?
I had too many high noons today to start doing all that. Yeah, so I mean, there you have it. I mean, Kevin Harvick, sure, and if 150 lineups, you're going to play Kevin Harvick at Atlanta. If you're trying to do that $121 single entry, if you think Kevin Harvick's going to be low owned, go for it, but that's never the case at Atlanta. And I don't know. We'll see what the sharps do for me, because I'm not going to play them. Next up, we have Eric Jones starting 22nd at 6,900. Richard Petty Racing, this is starting too high for me.
Yeah, I agree. GPP, if he fits.
Yeah, if you're 150 max, if you want to throw him in a few, go ahead.
House.
I agree, 100%. Next up, we have Cole Custer, 6,700. I got so angry at Cole Custer, but I've been playing him every week, and he hasn't been letting me down too bad.
Again, another Stuart Haas car. They just don't have the speed.
No doubt. I just think I think he realizes that, and he just hasn't. I don't know. He hasn't wrecked out like he used to. Like, he's keeping the DNF low. He did okay at Homestead, and he had the.
He did very good at Homestead.
Yeah, he I think he finishes like inside the top 20, but not anything higher than 16. So I don't hate it starting 23rd.
The only thing is his DNF rate for the year is 15%.
But as of late, though,
Which is true. I don't have that, but his average finish for the whole year is 22. But I'll give you this: like, he has raced twice at Atlanta, and he's got an 18.5 average finish there, and has finished every single race. He's starting 23rd, and my model has him 20th. So I think he's going to be very low owned. I think he's GPP to fade, but I think he's another guy. We need to come up with a term, and we'll figure that out maybe during the NASCAR break, of guys who we hope finish around where they start. We'll just have to figure out what that's going to be.
The nickname. If you
have a suggestion, put it in the comments, and if you like it, we will use it.
All right, good. I like that plug in there for the comments below.
Family show, keep it clean.
Yes, of course. Next up, we have Bubba Wallace. See, I'm gonna let you take the floor. I think I just can't play this guy. My blood boils watching this man race. Go ahead.
Well, the Pocono race, I just had a weird feeling with him, and it worked out. Like, I believe he was top 10 in both of the races. He did really, really well. 16th average running position here last time, around a 20 average running position in the rest of the races. So he's starting 24th here. So at 6,300, I like him a little better than Cole Custer. I like him better than Chase Briscoe for $100 more, who's starting all the way up at 11th. So, if I end up with like $6,500 less left in my lineup, then he's going to be a guy that I consider in cash, because there's nobody below him that I'd even really consider dropping down to, besides one other guy who would probably be in my cash lineup anyways, that we're about to get to in a few minutes.
Yeah. Now, Bubba Wallace, 2-3 weeks ago, I was sitting on a monster. I had 5 drivers inside the top 10, and oh my God, he just sucked so bad. And kept me from being, like where you're sitting at 1,000 in like one of the big GPPs, and you're like one guy away from being inside the top 10. That was the scenario here. I had everything else right except him. So since that moment, I've just had this weird vendetta against.
And I wonder
Bubba
if it's
Wallace.
just like being like a new team, because he's really not that bad of a driver. Like, he's not.
And you're right.
And I was completely shocked with the All-Star race that he didn't get the fan favorite vote. And the reason being is, like, if you watch NASCAR in like 2019, like any rain delay, he was out there like throwing footballs into the crowd with the fans, and like he's always been like a people person and out there, and I just wish him success in this. So
I definitely do too.
And maybe it'll come next year. Maybe they just need a year to see, and maybe they started the team just to get their like feet wet, but they're looking at the 2022 car that's coming out, the new model, and maybe they're going to go all in on that one, and let's hope.
Yeah. So the thing is, in a PGA DFS, like, there's certain guys you don't watch their rounds, because it'll absolutely tilt you just to watch the opportunities that they miss. I feel the same way when I play Bubba Wallace. Like, I don't want to watch him average run in 30th for like 50 laps, because it just makes my skin crawl. But sometimes he gets to where you need him to get to, and other times he'll fall just short. And that get to that point always drives my mental state insane. So I don't know, maybe in 150 max, but I'm going to be staying away from it. Pray to God I don't land on him in a high dollar situation. Next up, we have Michael McDowell at 5,900, starting 25th. Meh.
He's the best play under 6K.
Okay.
It's not a speedway, it's not a road course, but average running position overall is 20th. So I have him finishing 24th. So again, whatever the term's going to be, he's one that we hope finishes around where he starts, and then he's perfectly fine. I have him getting 20 DK points. It's about 3.5x, which is I'm looking more for like 4 usually. But again, if I have 5,900 left, or even if I have 6K left, because there's no like driver that's exactly 6K, then he's the one that I'm going to choose.
Yeah. Yeah, he's meh to me. Next up we have Corey LaJoie, 5,700. Yeah.
If I don't have 59 for Mike McDonald, then Corey LaJoie would be my choice.
Yeah.
I don't
Corey
hate him, but I
LaJoie's
don't love him.
Exactly. He's had a fairly good season as of late. He's made a lot of good finishes, and I just he's gonna shit the bed one of these times, and I know it's gonna be in one of those moments where I need him to finish the race well, and I dread the day, because I know it's like, I need Corey LaJoie to finish one of those 21st finishes that he's been rattling off lately, and no, he's gonna wreck. So I can't wait for that moment.
He's not that bad. He's only got a 20% DNF rate, and he's raced 4 races at Atlanta. Average finishes 30th, and he's finished them all. So
I just don't. It has nothing to do with his history. It just has to do with my luck. I don't mind him. Next up, we have Daniel Suarez, 7,700. We know where I stand on Daniel Suarez. How are you feeling about him this week?
Actually, I think I'm going to lock him in here.
Woo! Yeah, let's do
like
it.
I said, it seems like Ganassi is starting to move resources into this team. This team they've actually been good without like those resources. He ran 15th average running position. The only reason he's down here is because he had trouble in the road race last time out. He doesn't have a great 1.5 mile package record, but it's 21. So, and my projection has him actually running like his ceiling at finishing 15th. So I have him at like about 40 DK points or 5.2x. I like it.
Yeah, he's
definitely going to be in my cash build.
Yep, cash. He's going to be in high dollar situations. People love this guy. Finally getting mega on board the Daniel Suarez train. It only took like 15 place differential projection points, but we got there. All right, next up we have Justin. All right, next up we got Justin Haley in the 77, 4,900. Any thoughts?
Didn't do bad in Xfinity today, but
yeah, he ran well.
Yeah, it's a different car, so next year it will be a different owner, and I haven't seen them move any resources or heard of them moving any resources to Cup yet. So, but why would they invest in this car? It's different with Ganassi and Trackhouse because they're already in the same circuit. But to bring like Cully, stuff up and invest it here, it doesn't make sense. Just finish it out and wait till next year.
Right, with the next gen car. Yeah.
Correct.
All right, so no Haley starting too far ahead. Next up, we have Ryan Newman. I've made a pretty good season out of not playing this gentleman, but now it comes to the point where I must play Ryan Newman. Yes. 6,100, way too cheap.
Yes, he average running position of 14. Only one of the races did he really struggle here. He's got an 18 overall average running position at tracks like this. I have him finishing in the top 15, which might be a little aggressive, but even if he gets up to the top 20, he's picking up almost 10 place differential points. I think he's going to be very, very highly owned, probably the second highest owned behind Larson. I think anybody that has to do an optimizer where you have to pick 2 guys for DK, or is going to put Larson, Newman, and see who else that they give him.
Figure out the rest. Yeah. Newman, man, he's had no speed, but what Ryan Newman is really good at is managing tires, managing a race on super tracks, speedways. Yep. He's still good at tracks like this. I can't ignore it. 6,100 seems too good to be true. So Newman going to be involved in cash, high dollar, any scenario for me tomorrow. So should be a fun day. Josh Blicky at 4,600.
We can just stop right here pretty much.
There's one gentleman to talk about.
Ryan Preece at like 34th. I think again he might get up to like 30th. He really hasn't been good in this package or in these tracks. maybe his ceiling would be 25th, but he's had a lot of technical problems too, breaking down. So I don't know. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, he
It blew up
what
last
seemed
week.
it's weird. Yeah, it's weird. Since he won in the Xfinity series, I think I don't know, like he hasn't done well in Cup since. It's kind of odd. Yeah, JTG Doherty Racing's had a fairly good year with Chris Buescher or not Chris Buescher, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And there's been times where Brees has ran inside the top 20. This isn't one of those tracks, and I think you hit it on the head with 30th position or maybe the high 20s, and it's not really paying off.
74, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
so expensive.
exactly. That's just not paying off 7,400. I'd rather play Custer, Bubba Wallace, Newman, Stenhouse, maybe even Reddick over Ryan
Deep in
Preece. So
Detto is only 100 more.
yeah, I'd rather play him too over Preece. So gonna be a fade. Hopefully people just play the guy that's starting in the back and blindly admit their money to us. All right, but that'll pretty much wrap it up. Pretty much no on everyone else here, and from 30th on back, they're all just gonna finish where they start and not gonna do anything in the late 30s. So just a quick reminder, 25 likes and we will get the model projections up for both the Xfinity and the Cup videos for next week. I am your host, TK Nation 47. That is Mega Rule of 31. You can follow our Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. The link to the Discord is in that bio, so you can go ahead and click on that, get to us in the chat, and you can find our core lineups, model projections, and all the fun stuff that you need for winning lineups tomorrow. Mega, thank you for joining me this evening, and good luck tomorrow. And I will talk to you then, and I will talk to you guys next week for New Hampshire.
See ya.